Hello everyone, Mno here, and welcome back to the channel. I decided I wanted to make a recording today discussing what has quickly become one of my favourite weapons in the game, following the release of its Incarnate adapter, that being the Strun Prime. So let's have a quick look at the build. For my Strun Prime adapter, I'm using Blazing Barrel, Rapid Reinforcements, and Commodore's Fortune. The reason I have the weapon set up in the way that I have is because I'm using a Hunter Munitions build. Critical Deceleration allows us to maximise the crit chance on the weapon itself. Meanwhile, Semi-Shotgun Cannonade prevents us from actually losing any fire rate. In addition, it gives us a massive damage buffer and gives the weapon punch through. In addition to this, we have Primed Point Blank for additional base damage, Primed Ravage to bring up the damage of our critical hits, and combining Contagious Spread and Chilling Reload gives us Viral innately onto the weapon. Chilling Reload pulls double duty to give us additional reload speed as well, since the Strun Prime is a individual cartridge fed weapon, meaning that whenever you reload, you only reload one bullet at a time. So this allows us to buffer it just a little bit more, in addition to the 60% reload speed bonus that the adapter also gives us. Finally, we have Galvanized Hell just for additional multi-shot, and then the primary thing that this build is focused entirely around is Hunter Munitions. By maximising out on our critical chance to have a base of over 100% chance, means that every individual pellet from each round that the Strun fires is guaranteed to perform a critical hit, thereby maximising the chances that Hunter Munitions will always proc. In addition to this, I'm also using Primary Deadhead to curtail some of the heavy recoil that the weapon has, and also magnify the damage dealt whenever we perform a headshot, which with this weapon is going to be pretty much all the time, in order to fully maximise the damage dealt, in order to snapshot the damage dealt in turn by Hunter Munitions. So let me show you real quick what the weapon is capable of without any kind of companion buffs or external modifications of any sort. We've got our level 200 Corrupted Heavy Gunners. So this is roughly what it can look like with just a single headshot and then allowing the Hunter Munitions to do the rest of the work for you. I'd give it roughly a 50-50 chance that the enemy will die, but that is heavily dependent on how many slash procs actually end up being applied. Do note also that since the weapon has a base capacity of 10 rounds, and Blazing Barrel builds off of each round fired, it means that only the last 5 rounds in the weapon will actually have the maximum multi-shot capability. So if I reload there, you see that the buff I had has now disappeared. And if I just mag dump without focusing for headshots, the weapon doesn't really do too well, but thanks to the quantity of pellets, thanks to the multi-shot that we have from multiple sources, you can see how the slash procs in of themselves quickly build up. Granted, because of the overall life of this enemy, it's not in of itself the most effective means of dealing damage. Now, if I focus on just headshots, as Blazing Barrel and Galvanized Chamber begin to build, you'll see the lethality of this weapon quickly starts to escalate. And I should eventually be able to reach a point where with just one headshot, the enemy should just bleed to death off of slash procs and viral stripping their health underneath the armor. As you can see, it's not 100% foolproof, but it does work a reasonable percentage of the time. Now granted, this is only what you can do with the weapon in of itself. What you may be wondering is what happens when we add a companion to the mix. So let's use everybody's favourite endgame companion, Doriga. The way I have my Doriga set up, I have some of probably the best bond mods on him. Notably, Contagious and Tenacious is what we're looking at in this case. Contagious to spread status procs that are developed, and Tenacious for that final critical damage multiplier. Duplex Bond is also here as well, which is useful, and Manifold Bond because... just because. I'm coupling that with the Prime Laser Rifle that also has maxed out on its Vigilante mods for an additional 20% critical chance enhancement to primary weapons. Granted, this is just icing on the cake, as the majority of our additional damage will be coming from Tenacious Bond. So what happens when I start performing headshots with this setup, now that we have our Doriga to also contribute? Well, it looks a little something like this. As you can see, we're now getting red crits. And most, if not all, enemies will die in one hit. Even those that don't die outright are more than likely than not to die as a result of the slash procs and or from your companion just dishing out that little bit of chip damage on top. Whilst not the most reliable, it is certainly a lot of fun, so I'll just do this real quick with the AI enabled so you can see what this would potentially look like in a real combat situation. I appreciate this looks a little bit sloppy in places, but I wanted to also showcase a simulation of how this weapon would perform outside of just using the simulator to pause the enemy's AI. So it gives you a bit of an idea of what this weapon performs like in live combat. Thank you very much for watching. I've got some plans for further videos in the future. Please like and subscribe, follow me on Twitch, and I will see you in the next one. Adios for now, and stay motivated.